Next up, we have, and thank you so much, Natalia Monebati, for being such a wonderful chair. Oh, thank you. And each and every one of you. Next up, I would like to invite the Afems team. We have Pulo Moji, we have Kanita Muhammad, we have Charlene, and then we also have Namusa Makubu. I think that's everybody. And then also to Aika, who has been our incredible support team. Yeah, like on, oh yes, and Linda Spencer. Linda, my friend, how could I forget you? So we're gonna spend this remaining time doing a dream think, which is something we came up with last year, I think.
I think it did.
Yeah, and I'll hand it over to Pulo. And before I could come on just for a minute with, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I must come on, where?
Yeah, I can't see her in the list. I don't know. I think she's manning the YouTube. Oh, manning, nasty word. She's on the YouTube, but if Aika, if you can just come on, that would be great. I just want to let everybody know that on Wednesday, it was Pulo's birthday. In the midst and at the heart of our Afems conference, this wonderful, incredible woman who has just been I believe in the idea of horizontal leadership, but she's the bird at the front, and like she really is. And I just want us all in the chat to wish Upulo happy birthday and to thank her as well as all of us, but really to thank her for just incredibly showing up in all the ways that she did. So I'll hand it over to Pulo for us to do our dream think, to lead our dream think.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that all the members of my team, this team that has been in so many conversations for so many months. I mean, we thought we were going to have this event last year, and here we are in 2021. It was supposed to be August 2020. So first of all, I'm so glad that Mandisa's here, Carnita's here, Nomusa, Charlene, and Linda. And Aika, I know you're on YouTube, still working hard, but also if you can join, that would be fantastic. And I'm not going to say much. I think we can all reflect on this journey. And I'm just going to start with a few words, and I'm going to allow my team members to actually to also share with you what their experience has been and how we got here. And then, of course, I invite the participants, all of you, to share in what this week has been, or what this time has been, or why we needed this, and how we project ourselves to Afems 2020, if you will, or to the worlds that we're imagining or dream thinking together. So yes, so around this theme, in search of our shrines, feminist healing, the politics of love, I mean, there's a way in which this was so prescient because we had no idea what this world was going to do to us. We had no idea COVID was around the corner. We had no idea we were not going to see each other. We had no idea that things were going to shift so much that we wouldn't be in the same space together. We could not have imagined it. And yet we were inspired by these words, the words of Machilo Mutsei. And I'm going to repeat them because I think several people have repeated them, but they're worth repeating. The renewal of our soul follows a path that cannot be legislated for in a parliament or studied at a prestigious university. It is a way of finding a spark that will trigger a loving and compassionate way of being with who we are after being told that we are of no substance and no value. I get shivers every time goosebumps every time I read that, because I think that's what got us here. It's that spark. In spite of our institutional spaces, I think in spite of COVID, in spite of all the forces that have been against us this year, 18 months, almost 2 years, it was this desire to create spaces of renewal of the soul that got us through our countless meetings, through the admin, through making space and time to put together this gathering, because we were just longing for community and to reconnect. And I'll say for myself personally, this is the only way that I can make my institution meaningful, me, is if I can use the resources to create space for myself and those like me, for younger student versions of myself, to bring them into the circle of kin, right? Because that is what's nurtured me and kept me alive all of these years. And so I am going to, I don't want to impose an order, but I'm going to invite Mandisa, Charlene, Carlita, and Linda to share.
Yeah, thank you, Pulo. I definitely want to echo that I remember that first time we met and huddled around in your office to come up with what is this year's Afems going to be. And I think what has held, like you said, me in the past year when we were organizing around the Zoom event, as well as this year, was that theme that we came up with without even knowing what the past 2 years were going to be. And I think it is, I've never been in a space like Afems. This is my first Afems. And to be around, yeah, to be around as someone who reads stuff about death most of the time, pretty much all the time, and the terror and the horror of Blackness, this was incredible, like a space where we gathered to think through love, to think through healing, and what and all the directions, right, that has taken us. And then to arrive this week and to lead with the Maitri archive, because I was only able to tap into the afternoon sessions, to think of our grandmothers, to think of our mothers, of our great grandmothers. That's not something that we receive in the classroom. And for that thread to hold through, for my heart to be held in the space, and not just my mind, that my heart has a space in the academic engagement, was something very new for me. And so I really appreciate the space, and I'm excited for what Afems 2022 will be and can be. And I look forward to knocking this down as my first Afems of many. So thank you all to everybody who showed up with their intellectual heart and mind and embodied selves. I'm thinking back to the evening event of Sermon I Wish I'd Heard, like, and the artwork, all of it, just coming together as, like, not even education, but like, how can academic spaces, academic conferences be holding spaces for our whole being? Yeah, I really appreciate you, team, and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was Mandisa, Charlene, Kanita, Linda. I forgot to mention Nomusa, who's also in the room. I'll just, if you can put your audio on at some point, Nomusa, to share. But Carnita, would you like to?
So, firstly, I want to say thank you to Polo and to Mandisa for their graciousness, to Charlene, to Linda, to Nomusa, to Aika. This year was very difficult for many of us, and me, dropped balls all the time, over and over and over and over again. And one of the threads that's been running through the conference has been this thread of fractured communities. How do you retain community when in the face of difficulty, in the face of conflict, in the face of confrontation. And within our team, we did that. There was a graciousness extended to each and every one of us at different points when we required to breathe, when we required a little bit of grace. And for me, it was a learning experience. It wasn't just about being in community, but learning to be in community with tenderness, with kindness, even when we were frustrated, even when things were difficult and hard, there was a tenderness and a graciousness. And if this is a model for how we build feminist communities in a larger collective, then I am there for that. And it was a space of hope. And for me, Afems always is this, it's a space where one can breathe. You don't have to go into fight. You don't have to go into be defensive. You don't have to go into, you can just breathe and recognize that not only is there a bringing together of the entirety of who we are, but it's a deeply intellectual project. The project of remaking worlds with our greatest desires and the necessity for worlds that heal is something that we share in a collective way. Perhaps not. Perhaps we don't think the trajectory is the same, but we all share that dream of coming together in a way that heals all of us. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm just profoundly grateful. So thank you. You're muted, Polo. Polo, you're muted.
Yes. Sorry. I see that Nomusa's here. And before I hand over to Charlene and Linda, you know, I'd like Nomusa to share with us, and then I will hand over to Charlene and Linda, who have, you know, Afems has been their baby for many years before me, so they can wrap up. So Nomusa.
Thank you so much, and my apologies for coming in and out. I'm finally now in one place. I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, one thing I wanted to reflect on, actually, maybe let me start there, is my first Afems experience was when Charlene had invited women curators, women creatives for a discussion, an Art in My Mind panel. And I have to say that it was probably the first time that I felt alive. Okay, maybe not, you know, like, but feeling alive as a Black scholar. I actually can't remember being on the same panel with all the other women curators. And I think since then, I mean, you know, Afems has always been such a valuable space for all of us, for so many voices. So, you know, even since 2019, when we first started this journey, thinking this was going to happen in 2020 and then 2021, you know, it kind of was like this space where one could finally breathe as a scholar, but also realize your dream selves, the thing that you think you're going to be, the person you think you want to be, but the institution, the system just doesn't allow you to be. I mean, I know that, yeah, this particular year has been exceptionally difficult. And, you know, my involvement has really been minimal in terms of, you know, I mean, thinking about the amount of work that everyone has put in. But even then, you know, I sit here and I am in awe and truly inspired by the kind of living scholarship that's being created, and that I've actually witnessed this past week, being reduced to tears, you know, for some sessions, even though, you know, whether you're in person or whether you're actually sitting somewhere remote, you feel it just the same, right? It still resonates and touches you just the same. There's nothing that compares to that. I can't think of a conference. I mean, most people go to conferences and it's like, you know, you go to 1 or 2 sessions and then you go and chill somewhere else. But this was the one space where we lived, we thought, we were together in such amazing ways. And I think, you know, yeah, going forward, it probably is, not probably, but it is, you know, one of those things that we just have to treasure and just make sure it continues. But yeah, I'm a little all over the place because I've just rushed in from driving, but yes, I mean, I really am, yeah, I really am, I'm really moved by this past week and everything that I've, you know, that all of the events and everything that I was, you know, all the sessions I was in, all the sessions I've witnessed. I can't even begin to, yeah, I can't even begin to, you know, say how much it means. But anyway, let me hand over to Charlene and Linda.
Great. Charlene and Linda, who wants to go first? Linda.
Yes,
let's
so that Charlene can say all the important things.
The last words.
Yeah, she can
About
do
Afems
the last
2022, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been I mean, when we started 2 years ago, Paul, I remember costing you somewhere and us saying, will you please host Afems 2020? Do you remember? And you said,
Yeah,
oh
and I
yeah, and
didn't
we
know.
thought, and well, you didn't know what it involves. But we didn't even know anything about the pandemic at that point. But after the 2019 Afems at WITS, Shalina and I had, and for those who were there, Kanita, you were there, Paula, I think you were there for the last session where we opened our books. And it was very emotional for me because there's a lot of hard work that goes into Afems and a lot of financial support that we've never had. And so for this Afems to have the funding of Ford Foundation has been, for me, I think, a luxury, that we didn't have to count all our runs and cents, that this time we didn't have to, you know, perform miracles with the 2 runs that we had that we'd have to make into 20,000. So I'm really grateful for that we had some kind of financial backing, because it says something about if the funding is there, the amount of things that we can do with what we have. The other thing that, and this is in reflecting, the other thing I'm grateful for is COVID. In a way, I'm grateful because what it did, it meant we had to postpone, Kanita. It meant we had to postpone to this year. But what it did is the different opportunities, the hybrid version allowed us to do so much more than we could have done. I mean, I was thinking about it. This is the first time we've had a 5-day Afems conference. This is the first. I don't think we'll ever be able to have that again. And it's because you had it split between the Zoom. It's a lot, Kanita, I know. It's the Zoom and the face-to-face abilities, but it allowed us to include a whole lot more people. So, for example, Mandis and I were very involved in the literary panel. For the first time, we had 5 book launches. 5 book launches. I mean, and going back to what Afems is about, and especially what Charlene has drilled into my head, is this idea of archives, of creating a place where we're going to have that are easily accessible for people. So now we have, you know, we have Dina, Tiffany, Dee, Pumla, Barbara, who's who's the
Abiba,
and Pumla,
Desiree.
Pumla and Desiree and Habiba, and we have it up there on the web, on the Afems website for everyone to access. But also because of the technology and the Charlene, this time it's easier. We don't have to edit anything. Do you know how much time you've been editing? There's nothing to edit. Everything is out there. So I am grateful in a way to COVID, because it allowed us to think differently about what we want to do, what we could do, and what we're able to do with this format. But I'm also very grateful to Paulo, Mandisa, Kanita, and Nomusa for your openness and for, just taking this on and just running with it. I mean, Paulo, I keep saying this, and you don't know how important it is to me. You and your Excel sheets.
You.
I'm in awe. I don't even know how to put in one formula. So the way in which you organize, and I might be talking about the practical Excel, but it's organizing. The way in which you organize is absolutely brilliant. For me, it's what I'm aspiring to be, Paulo, like you. So and Mandisa for always, letting me call you in the evenings because of the time zone, and figuring out that literary panel that ended up being brilliant. Yes, I'm really grateful. But also, I mean, most people don't know that we used to meet for a long time. We met, I would say, for 3/4 of last year and this year. We met every 2 weeks to organize. And the first part of that organizing the first 30 minutes would be just what I've been calling pity parties. But after listening to Peace speak today morning, I was like, no, they're not pity parties, actually. I mean, when she was talking about going to Machilo's home and just sleeping, I was like there was something in that house that made her comfortable, that she just slept. And there was something that allowed us to start off our sessions by just talking about things that we had been experiencing that day, and how tough things are for us. And so all this stuff that were all the papers, all the talks, all the workshops that have spoken about healing, about holding oneself, and all the stuff that we were doing as we were planning this meeting, and only in hindsight, and I'm sure even we might not understand it now, but it's always in hindsight where we begin to realize, okay, this is what we were doing to achieve this, whatever. So I'm really, really grateful to all of you, and yeah, thank you. It's been a blast.
Linda, I loved the pity parties. The pity parties were us sharing our everyday with each other, and it sustained us. I think it was great. It sustained us because we had these other conversations going, so thanks, Linda. We're gonna end off with Charlene before going into the closing keynote, but Mandisa will present that.
Yeah, coming to the end of Afems is always so bittersweet because, it's the end of it's nice to come to the end of something that's really grueling, because it is, Afems is a lot. Afems is a lot. And it's nice to sort of get your life back temporarily before you start it all up again. But at the same time, you're so nourished and rejuvenated that it's also just that, that you gotta wait so much longer again for all of that, and to be with all of these great people again. And it's just, Afems has always been a dream space. Going to feminist conferences and just feeling like you just didn't belong there, like there was something wrong, just something not quite right. and then realizing that it's not you, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the space that you need to create? And Afems was that dream space. And I think it was 3 people coming together, you know, Tando and Giovanni was the other person, but it was 3 people coming together and bringing their various dream spaces together to create Afems. And since then, Afems is continuing to be a kind of a dream space that's being crafted continuously by a number of different people. And it's only possible because so many people bring their dreams and bring their thoughts and bring their creativities continuously to this platform. And, you know, it feels like Afems has, you know, these special people, but it's not just one person or 3 people that are keynotes. It's like everyone is special at Afems. Like every, you know, it might be a 3rd year or 4th year student or a first time presenter, and then you attend their presentation and you're so blown away and you're learning something from their presentation. It's like, my God, like every time I go through the archives as well, I'm like, somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to hear this. It's just so phenomenal, right? And I'm continuously blown away by African feminist thought, by African imagination, and I just feel like I need to scream out from the rooftops continuously about how amazing it is. And I think that's what keeps all of us coming back over and over, that there's this platform that we can get together once a year and just remember how special we are, at the same time that we are continuously generating knowledge and acknowledging each other as well, and networking, because it's not just enough to generate the knowledge, but we do always need that audience to hear, to listen, to appreciate, to take each other seriously. And I absolutely love that about Afem, is that there's people like the ones we see in front of us who are able to say, we want to invest all of this free labor, incredible amounts of extensive labor, to make this possible for so many other people. I mean, that's just so much generosity, intellectual generosity, but just also physical labor and spiritual labor, and just so much of love that is extended to people. And I can't thank you, each and every one of you, enough for doing that. I just remember on Monday when I walked over, because I think I can't do Afems for another year. And Linda, who says, you're my ride or die, so she doesn't care to hear any of this from me. And when I walked in on Monday and I saw Yvette Abrams sitting at a table selling soap, because that's only possible as far as I'm concerned at Afems, where you can walk in and your idol is sitting there selling soap. And I just burst out crying, because I don't know any other conference at which this is possible. And this is what a dream space is, that it makes these kinds of possibilities possible. And so I from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of you for making these dreams possible. Thank you to every single person who came on board and made these possible, that made Tai Chi possible, that made poetry possible, that made all the workshops possible. You brought Afems, our dreams of Afems, one step closer in all the visions that you made possible in this year's Afems. These iterations were just so much more steps closer to how we envision the holisticness of Afems. And I hope you are prepared for Afems 2022, because it's going to be a bumper edition, you know. Our theme is, Linda, our theme is
Our sister Killjoy.
Our sisters Killjoy. So we're looking forward to our sisters Killjoys joining us for this 5th anniversary bumper edition of of Afems. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and we thank you from our bottom of our heart for this.